Well, in today's economy, unemployment is high and available jobs are few, so you need to be at the top of your game when you're doing a career search. We have brought in today a career and job search strategist and trainer to give us some tips on what you can do to enhance your likelihood of landing that job. With us today on the program is Marie Zimenoff from A Strategic Advantage. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Well, start off by giving us some tips. How is the economy different from it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago, and what can people do to make a difference in their job search?
Definitely. Well, I think that it's no secret that it's become a buyer's market in terms of employers. And so it's way more competitive than it ever has been for job seekers and professionals. Part of what most people don't think about when they start their search is focus. Jobs used to kind of come to you and someone would say, oh, you know, I think you'd be great at this, or maybe even within your company, they would groom you for the next step. And most of what professionals are finding today is to take that next step, they have to go outside of their company or promote themselves within their company to land that next job. And so that focus becomes so important. What is it that you want to do? Who do you want to work for? And how do you sell that to the employer? Has really become the employee's job instead of an employer helping you move through your career path. So the number one thing that I work with people on when they walk into my office is who do you want to work for and what do you want to do for them? What is the value that you bring?
Is that part of knowing the market?
It is knowing the market. First, of course, know thyself, and then go out and see who's looking for those skill sets. And that's not going to be in job postings, which I think is one of the hardest things that has changed, is you're not going to see a position posted that looks interesting necessarily. You may have to go out there and network to create it.
I saw a little graphic that is 20% of the jobs that are posted are at the top of the iceberg, but 80% are down are those jobs that aren't posted. So you need to be networking and getting connected.
Yes. Yeah, and that's data that comes out every year through the Harvard Business Review. They do a study to ask people how they found their last job, and about 80%, 70% every year is through networking, someone you know or someone that you get to know. And all of those things, again, really take some targeting. And what I talk with when I talk about networking is really being focused. When you go to a large group, you may meet some great people, but it may not be anything that's going to help you move forward. I don't know about for you, but for most of us, that takes a lot of energy to go out and build a network. And when you're doing it in places that might not necessarily get to meet the people you need to meet, it can be a lot of wasted energy.
Well, how important is developing your resume?
Your resume is the first thing they might see about you on paper, although you hope it's not the first thing they see about you, right? We hope that you've met them, gotten in touch with someone, met face to face, and then they're seeing your resume. But if it is the first thing they see about you, you want it to be that good first impression. And one of the biggest things that's changed about resumes is that it's become a marketing piece instead of what we call a career obituary. And most people like that term because that's what it used to be. All the things you've done, and really today it's more, what are you going to do for them? How are you going to bring value to their workplace? And that's something people don't think about. They don't think that way.
So how does that look in terms of the outline of your resume now versus what it might have looked like a few years ago?
Yeah, this is very superficial, but I think when we're talking marketing, we have to realize that appearance matters. And the first thing I always tell people is if their address information is centered and on the top of the page, I can tell that they're probably old school, is what I call it. Just not up with the new trends in appearance. And so that's one of the first things, is that a resume today looks like a marketing piece. It has a little bit, maybe even some color and some design, not overdone, but a nice crisp design that helps draw your eye to information. And then it has really the information that the job you're applying for needs to know. So it doesn't have to go through every little detail of what you've done. It has to highlight the accomplishments that show you can bring value.
So there are some definite do's and don'ts when it comes to writing your resume, and people need to be strategic in learning what those are in order to land that job.
Yes, and I think that's the hardest part, is that there are tons of opinions about what to do and what not to do. And the hardest thing is learning how to think about it in terms of strategy and what's going to work for you, instead of kind of going with the wind and hearing all the different opinions and getting overwhelmed.
All right. Well, that is a lot of great information. We appreciate you being with us on the program today. And if you would like more information about a strategic advantage and upping your game in that job search, contact strategicadvantage.com or Marie at strategicadvantage.com. You can also call her at 970-420-8413, and there's also a toll-free number on the screen. And don't go away, we'll be right back.